We're back in a new environment.
Yes.
New environment. And I'm Ryan, the host, and
I'm Carrie.
welcome to the podcast. Appreciate you being on, giving some time to it. So why do you think I wanted you on?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a brain picker.
That
right there.
is, yeah. I think I have probably some pretty good life stories to share.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, also just knowing like your background, just like different jobs and stuff.
Yes.
And just being handy in general. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I looked at my dad and I looked at him like, damn, could you build a bridge? I was like, I don't know. I know he's built a deck, but it's like,
yeah,
pretty good stuff.
If you built a deck, you can build a bridge.
Yeah. Granted, he had a lot of help from someone who did a lot of stuff, but learned a lot though.
Yeah.
So it's like you built that bridge. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's pretty crazy stuff.
It's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Did you actually get to test it this year?
Yes. It is rated for my lawnmower. I wouldn't go any heavier than that over it. It probably could hold it, but I don't want to break it either.
Yeah.
It took a long time to build.
Yeah. That is really neat. I was just the stories of getting it up and everything that just got fucked up in between.
And that's actually a very good point, is that from start to finish, we revised that plan so many times that, I'm surprised it looks the way it does.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. So yeah.
Because this area is an HOA, right?
It is not.
Really?
It is
That's
not.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the, not.
Well, if
I'm not
it
gonna say
was,
it's like
we probably wouldn't have been able to do it,
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like you see the more modern cookie cutter neighborhoods and stuff where it's like, oh, this house looks like this house and this house looks like this house. A lot of them are HOAs.
Yeah.
So I was like, dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That wouldn't fly in someone I know's old neighborhood. So it's like, yeah, it's just cool. I mean, it's cool. I mean, but you need it. It's like, how else are you
was I going to get over there? I don't think
like,
the neighbor was going to mow my lawn across
forever.
the creek forever. So something had to be done.
Something had to be done. You're like,
exactly.
Hey, here's a 30 rack for the summer.
Yeah.
Go crazy.
Yeah. I went through many different plans. I thought about steel beams. I thought about light poles, like telephone light poles. And then we got our hands on this. We refurbished a pier, basically. It was from another pier. And do I recommend using that? In hindsight, no. 2x12s would have been much easier.
Yeah. But it's done. It works.
It works.
Hopefully it lasts.
Hopefully a long time.
Yeah.
I don't want to take that apart.
Yeah, that would suck. Or even fix it.
I know. That's what I was thinking.
Do you have to stain it?
That is on the plan this year.
Good luck.
I know.
That's going to suck.
That's going to be fun. Yeah.
Do it before it gets too hot out. That's all I got to say. That's
yeah.
But it's like finding that time where it's like it doesn't rain for a whole week.
That's what
sucks.
Yeah. Last year it was so dry. But we didn't get it done until, too late. So
does it have to be a certain temperature to apply stain?
Most stains have it's a pretty wide, like 50 to 90 degree weather kind of thing. But
it was like 48 and you're like, crap. That sucks.
Like, close enough. We're doing it. Yeah.
What stain are you going to do?
What's what?
What color stain?
I haven't talked it over with the neighbors yet. So I built this with my neighbors next door. So I want their input on it too, not like, take over. And, but I'm hoping to just use what I have on my deck so it matches everything. Yeah.
Checks out.
Yeah.
What did you stain? Because I remember a couple years ago, you didn't stain that. What do you end up staining it with?
What color is that? Sierra something. I tried to match the front beams, and of course, whatever they used up there is no longer in use. So we had to kind of try and color match. So just went to good old, can I say a name?
Sure.
Sherman Williams.
Sherman Williams might not like the podcast.
I don't know.
That's okay. That's okay. If Sherman Williams doesn't like the podcast, he can talk to me.
You'll be getting
that is not an invite,
you'll be getting an email.
That is not an invite at all. Please stay away. But yeah. But no, like just knowing you being handy, I guess what really derives from that?
I was thinking about that too. I think a lot of it stems from seeing what my parents did to their house. There wasn't a basement. My dad and my brother Kurt built a basement with some other guys, of course. Dad was always really handy, woodworking and stuff. So I saw all the tools. I saw him use them. You know, I was around them. I didn't really use them myself. So it wasn't a foreign concept to me, you know, as far as that goes. And then kind of talking about all the previous jobs that I've had, some of them have helped
just give me
some
skills.
Give me some skills. Exactly.
Honestly,
unusual skills, but I got them.
Working blue collar will teach you a lot just about how shit works.
Yes.
And that, me working my blue collar job before the job I have now, it's like I have an appreciation for I learned that just like, oh, this tool does this tool does this. That is how you use the tool.
Right.
And it's like,
you know, the correct order and all that sort of thing too. Yeah.
What was probably the craziest job you had to work for blue collar?
There are three.
I only know one.
There are three that I have done. I would say all are pretty equal in their own right. So growing up in a small town, you know, back in the 90s, the choices of jobs were like waitressing or you got your hands dirty. So it paid more to work at a factory than it did to waitress, and I needed money. So that's what I did. That's the other thing I think I learned from my parents too, is you do what needs to be done. You know, you do what you got to do. You hear that all the time, but it really was true, you know, growing up. So one of my jobs was working at a factory in Clinton that made steel pipes for like underground oil, or I don't even know what all they used it for. Gas, water, don't know. Stuff. Typical factory work though. You know, you punch in, you do your work, you punch out, you get out of there. That one really opened my eyes to that kind of work. That was like the first one that I really did. And I knew from kind of that point on, like, I need to get an education. I don't want to do this the rest of my life. Right. So the other two that I did they were all summer jobs in between going to college. Right. One of them was painting houses. So we painted houses, exterior. Oh, that was not so fun. Yeah. That one wasn't so fun. But so I learned how to, you know, paint exterior houses, oil paints. What do you use? How do you clean up the brushes? You know, all that kind of stuff. Got on a lot of ladders. Sorry, Mom. But, you know, it was a summer job. I knew I wasn't doing it forever. So you can do whatever you want.
You can live through the suck for 3-4 months.
Exactly. Yeah. I actually did that with one of my good friends from high school too. He talked me into joining. So that was actually kind of more goofing off and fun than probably was supposed to be. And then the other one that I think is one you are thinking of is that I roofed houses for summer.
Like, that's pretty hardcore.
That was hardcore.
Was that the highest paying one out of those three?
Yeah.
By far, or
50 cents.
By 50 cents?
I know.
What would that be in today's dollars?
Well, back then it was $6.50
for minimum wage.
Yeah.
And that was minimum wage?
That was minimum wage. Yeah.
You paid $6.50
and that was houses? A lot of money. So you compare that to a waitressing job that I was looking at that was $4, and then whatever tips you got, you know? So I was like,
and if you're charismatic,
I'll take the $6.50. Thank you. Yeah. Because you don't know.
You're not guaranteed anything.
No, not at all. Yeah. So roofing was quite the eye opener of all of those. The boss that ran the company always hired 2 girls in the summer, which was great because we could team up. A lot of that stuff is so heavy. A pallet or a package of the shingles was like 80 to 90 pounds. And at that point, I was like a whopping 120 pounds. So I was like carrying a body up onto the roof. So I got a lot of crap from the guys because I couldn't carry much, right? Yeah. And I'm like, well, you carry 2 of them because that's the proportion to what I'm doing, right? Yeah. I've seen now there's like different equipment that like gets the shingles up there. We didn't have that. We literally
had to carry it up the ladder.
We carried everything up the ladders and up there, you know, that kind of thing. So I will say some of the guys did not like girls working with them or up on the roof. Don't know, you know, didn't get into much of that. I just tried to, you know, stay in my lane. Yeah.
You're just like, man, I'm just here to make $650.
I just wanted some money for school. Me alone. That's all I wanted. Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. But I don't know, working in blue collar nowadays, I would say more of that sexism has died down.
I would hope so. Because it was very apparent, even in the factories. Yes, that was, you know, I was young, you know, 19, 20, 21. Yeah. So you're, you know, looking at some of the, you know, the older guys there were in their 30s and 40s. And I was just the newbie, you know, blonde haired girl, you know, in the factory or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah. Kudos to you for sticking it out the tough because like getting verbally berated and going through the shit. There were
a few times and it really it opened up my eyes to people and their attitudes and, you know, all kinds of things. It was quite the eye opener for sure. Yeah.
Working in blue collar, I'd almost recommend anyone to do it just to build the character.
I know. Like, and just to see.
I don't think cancel culture would exist if everyone had to work blue collar, even just for like 6 months. It's like, you want to talk about canceling people? How about you go to any job site? Yeah. Just like, I've heard some crazy shit. Yeah. But it gets you through the day. Like, you start joking around, having fun.
Oh, yeah. Even up on the roof, the crew, there were some really good friends there. The crew was great, most of them. There were only a few that weren't, you know. Actually, my boss was actually pretty cool, pretty forward thinking for back then, right? So yeah, you know, and like I said, I needed money for school. So what else was I gonna do? Yeah.
How much money do you guys pay per year for
back
school?
Then?
Yeah. Let's talk about the difference in that.
It doesn't sound like much for today's. It was so I went to UNI for psychology, and it was $5,000 to $6,000 a year back then.
That's crazy.
But you think about working $6 an hour trying to save up for that. That was rough. I got to give a huge kudos out to my parents because they kind of took on a second job that got both me and my brother through college too. So they helped out tremendously. And it's funny, back then, you know, when we tried to get loans and stuff, they said that like my parents made too much and I wasn't making anything. And I don't know if the rules were different then or if we just didn't know,
you didn't know
how to get help. Right. Yeah. Because today it feels like they'll give a loan out to anybody for any amount of money. And
I didn't get any loans.
You didn't?
No. It was dumb. Well, we can talk about after
Not
the
necessarily.
Podcast, but like just how it played out. It's like, how the fuck does that not qualify for a loan? Because like you'll say expected contribution 0, and it's like, how could you expect them to be lying about that? Like it felt ridiculous. But I do know people that know how to game the system, and they did. Yeah. And kudos to them. They know how to play the game. Right. I mean,
but you also walk away without loans, so that puts you ahead of others.
Yes.
So,
yes, that is the whole. If you can, I really kick myself in the butt for not like chasing scholarships.
Oh yeah,
that was kind of my because I'm just like,
Yes.
for the field I'm going into, I'm like, I can pay it off fine.
Yeah.
I could have. I could have been just fine.
So I keep saying like back then, like I'm 80 years old. It wasn't that long ago. But things seem to be very different because to get a scholarship, you had to apply individually to everything instead of kind of now they kind of lump things into a group. And then if you're eligible for certain ones, they'll kind of, point you in that direction. You really kind of were on your own back then.
Yeah.
So yes, scholarships, grants, loans, all that. My only 2 cents worth of wisdom is do all of your schooling before you turn 40, because the loans that you're probably going to have, you have to pay off before you're, retired. So that was another thing. So, and I believe you obviously know I've been back to college a couple of times. So yeah. So funny talking about.
When did you actually finish?
Done?
Yeah.
All of them?
Yeah.
2013. So
Dang.
Big spread there.
Yeah.
So I also am a I like to encourage people to just take their own path. It doesn't have to be
have to be the fastest,
XYZ,
greatest.
Right, because I did not take a straight path. In high school, trying to figure out what am I going to do, right?
Yeah.
I remember the counselors had this kind of like a test that you would fill out.
Yeah.
And once you filled it out, it would pop up this magical employment that you would be a good fit in.
Yeah. It's just help people get an idea, not the dead set.
Do you know the list that I had? I had everything from military, police officer, funeral director, counselor, medical. Didn't really say, nursing and all that, but I knew I wanted to help people somehow. I just didn't quite know how. So originally I was thinking of being a counselor and, went to UNI and got my bachelor's in psychology. And after that, I knew I had to get my master's, but I didn't want to go right away. Need to take a break, right? Earn some money.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right. So I started, actually, my first job out of college was working at Hy-Vee, nothing related to anything I was in for, right? And a friend of mine worked at a dental office, and they had an opening for a front desk, receptionist kind of person. So I took that job, and that's really what got me interested in the medical field. Even though medical field was on that list, I didn't choose that originally, So at that point, we were living here in Cedar Rapids, and I decided to take a left turn at Albuquerque, as Bugs Bunny says, and went back to school and got my 2-year nursing degree. So I was a nurse for quite a while, for a long time before I decided to go back for my nurse practitioner degree.
So what resulted in that decision?
Honestly, I had 2 kids that I needed to feed. We were living paycheck to paycheck on a nurse's salary. It wasn't.
That's crazy.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Do you care what I ask? What they paid as a nurse?
When I started, a brand new nurse out of school, it was $15 an hour.
That's crazy.
I have no idea what it is today, obviously. And you didn't get raises. You got your little 3%, economic raise kind of sometimes if the hospital could afford it, that was the other thing. Being in a hospital, you were, I don't want to say a number, but you weren't somebody, right? You were just one of the many that were already working. So, after, life's changes, I was just more so, I don't want to say paranoid, but nervous that what if something happens to the car, or
you want to
some
make
other
that buffer.
Yeah, there needed to be a little more buffer. So I decided, well, I'm good at school.
Been doing it
Why
this
don't
far.
I go back again? Yeah. The difference. So much time had passed. So, when I first went, we didn't have computers.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I'm
then
like,
now you're back,
look
now
at all of this. Like, there weren't. I shouldn't say there weren't computers. You went to a computer lab and worked on a computer. You didn't have a laptop.
Right.
You were lucky if you had a typewriter. It really sounds like I'm 80 years old. I swear. I swear I'm not. And then Kirkwood was obviously it was more of a technical skill, like it was more hands-on stuff, right? So there still wasn't a lot of computer work and stuff like that. But when I went back for my nurse practitioners, I shouldn't say everything, a lot of things were online. I've never taken an online class ever.
Yeah.
Nothing. Barely knew how to use a computer, really. We didn't have any computer classes.
Yeah.
So everything I learned was you learn on the go, right? Whatever you used in your job, or, Word document, kind of thing for school, that kind of stuff. So I decided before I went back for my nurse practitioners, for one summer, I took one online class just to see, can I do this?
Yeah.
What, how is it?
Feasible?
What's right? Is it even, before I get into this, right? And it was like taking a foreign language, I tell you, where the teachers hide all their assignments and stuff in the different folders and all that. I was like, oh my gosh. It was definitely a learning curve, but by the end of the class, I got it, right? Yeah, I got it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to Allen. I chose them because they were a little more flexible. I was still working, still taking care of the girls. I need a little more flexibility versus some of the other more local college programs were very rigid and I don't think they were geared for people who were working and a student, So I did that, and I did it in 3 years. It wasn't like a 2-year program, but because I was doing it on my own kind of stuff, I, spread it out, and it took me 3 years, and I got it.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to change paths.
Yeah.
You got to bob and weave sometimes.
Yeah.
Roll with the punches.
What I always think about is, like, the reason why I do this podcast, like, I want something to do after the 9 to 5 that's not part of the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like, I did 5 years for a 4-year degree, and it's like, sure, you could probably reconcile with something like that, with going back and back and back to get where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, fuck, right now I see a break. Like, oh my God. So it's like, I'm trying to figure out, it's like, how else could I make money by doing something that I know how to do, that I have fun with?
Yeah.
That
it's funny you say that. So I'm working in vascular surgery.
Yep.
Work with a good crew here in town. And sometimes we are in the OR, sometimes we are in interventional radiology, which means we have to wear lead. And it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a young man's game or a young person's game, but can I do that until I retire physically, Yeah. So things like that pop in my head, like, okay, so what else can I do? What else, and I'm like, well, I really like redoing houses. Yeah. Obviously, I can work on houses, right? Home improvement stuff. So, if I wanted to go that route, I could. I wouldn't probably work for a company. I would probably want to open my own, right?
Yeah.
But that's a whole can of worms and risks that I don't know if I want to do.
High risk, high reward.
Sometimes.
Well, that's the thing. Well, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But so, like, this guy I follow on Instagram, Gary V, he always, like, pushes people. He's like, I don't care if you're 30, 40, 50, 60. Like, Colonel Sanders made one of the most renowned fast food chains in the history of America. Mm-hmm. And he was, what, between 60 to 80. I don't know the exact age,
Yeah.
but he was older than what people would have thought a new business owner would look like.
You're 30-year-old or 20-year-old or even 40. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I like that mindset where it's like, it's never too late to figure out what works best.
Yeah.
Life changes. So should your mindset.
100% life changes. Yeah. And, did I think I would be here way back then? Absolutely not. I had, that cookie cutter, idea in my head that didn't quite work out a couple of times.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like nothing like ever works out. Like,
I have learned, it's good to be still motivated, you chase your dreams, you have a plan, you go for it. Right. But it is definitely, the journey, it's not,
that's the fun part.
It's not the destination because the destination is going to be different. It changes.
It's never where you think it's going to be.
It's not going to be where you think it is. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's like, that's for like my friends that are still in college. I'm like, what really sucks about like this day and age for the hiring stuff, and I was talking to a buddy about this when I was coming back from the last podcast, and I'm like, dude, the hiring system today, it's all about who you know, because these companies can't afford to go through what is the official interview process. Be like, oh, here's interview 1, interview 2, here's the screening check, here's this and that and the other thing.
That does have a big play, I think, in getting your foot in the door.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe for entry level stuff, that's probably how it works 90% of the time. It's about if you know someone, like for my case, I know someone that has a husband who's a manager somewhere, and they message someone else I know saying, hey, if you know anyone that's graduating from this college that's a senior and wants to work at X company, let them know and they can get an interview.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
So it's like, to me, that is very apparent. Like, and that's the thing, but colleges don't make it impossible. It's not the college's fault. Like when I went to college, they're like, oh, here we're having a spokesperson come in from Microsoft, John Deere. I mean, being in the Midwest, John Deere is going to be like, oh, can we have you? And the opportunity is there, especially for like engineering and stuff. I mean, Iowa State did a fantastic job of trying to get people. I mean, they have, I think, an 85% rate of getting people jobs before they graduate for engineering.
Nice.
And it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to be part of the 15% for a while. I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, I can't get a job anywhere. And I will say too, obviously we're talking about college. We both have been there. It's not for everybody.
No, it's not.
And that has to play with, you got to do your own path, It's not always, go to school, get a job.
Yeah.
Anymore anyway. I think it was at one time. I do. But not so much anymore. Which also makes it challenging probably to find a job. And if you know somebody, that helps. And it's not easy. Yeah.
Like even seeing what people do, like I still watch TikTok. I feel like a degenerate for watching TikTok a lot. But I saw this guy. He's like, I was living paycheck to paycheck, and he was out on his own. He's like, I don't know what to do. But he had a very large interest in wrapping cars, like doing like vinyl wraps and stuff like that. So he just found like a $15 an hour job in today's money, which is like
nothing
anymore. Even though in the state of Iowa,
maybe Target might actually be more than that.
Yeah, it's crazy. But he's like, I have such a passion. I want to learn about it, and he did it for 2 years. Then went on and made his own company because now he has all this portfolio. And he's like, these are all the cars I did.
Yep.
I worked under so-and-so. They're a reputable company.
Yes.
But I want to make it more accessible in my way.
Right.
To a wider market.
Yeah.
And so he got this little workshop garage from this guy that he was friends with. The guy was kind enough to be like, hey, just pay me bare minimum to work out of here. Like $1,500 a month. Like 52,100, not 1,500. I know I kind of slurred.
Not 15.
But just like, hey, I don't want much for it. Just follow your dreams, spend the money in your business.
Yeah.
And like, that's so sick. And now he's one of the biggest like known rappers out on the East Coast.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. I'm like, and he just rags to riches. That's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I just think that's so neat to watch people just take the own initiative and make their path and not just go like, for my case, my mom was like, oh, you gotta do X, Y, and Z, like go to college, this and that. It's like, I really want to play guitar. And so it's like, that's part of the reason why I made the podcast. Like, I want to talk to bands, see what they go through, what they have to go through to make it work. Really, how much work is it? And saying, good job. At the end of the day, good job. Because they get to go, like the guys I got to go see today, they've been to Minneapolis, they've been to Missouri, Omaha, Illinois. So it's like, granted, they're sticking around like the Iowa part.
Right.
But still the fact that they're getting out there and they're just making it work.
Yeah. Fun fact. One of the things I wanted to do when I grew up was to be a musician.
I remember you had a guitar for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Played piano, tenor sax, man. I really wanted to be in a band and play, but of course I didn't want to, be a waitress waiting for my, golden ticket, so to speak. And so I'm still very interested in music. It's a big part of my life. Yeah. I'm just not playing it
to the extent
on stage.
That, yeah.
In my car, I'm rocking out.
Yeah. You're getting Grammys in the car.
You betcha. You betcha.
Yeah. But that's the thing though. It's like to that's why I like going to like the local shows too. Cause like, sure, it's so easy to go to like Paramount Theater or like any other big name. Well, I mean, not everyone knows Cedar Rapids, but in Cedar Rapids, that's the biggest venue, I think.
Yeah.
Or like even Madison Square Gardens for a more pop culture reference. Like, not everyone gets there overnight. So it's like you have to go through the dirt over and over and over and over again. And I was talking about this with the guys on the podcast. Like, Dave Grohl was in like 3 to 5 bands before Nirvana even hit. Right. They all sucked. Right. And now he's one of the richest musicians in the world. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
And, you think of all the shows that are on TV, not to say any particular ones, but you have a winner and then they get a contract. But once that contract is up, they're scraping their way again. It's not an easy. You're not guaranteed anything. Yeah. You got to work for it.
Yeah.
In anything.
Yeah, but that's why people that want to be in shows and movies and stuff, that's why they move out there, because like I said, it's about who you know, especially for entertainment. In
entertainment, for sure. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that is true.
It sucks, but it's like, but that's kind of the nice thing about social media nowadays. All it takes is an algorithm to be like, here's your ticket. And it's really cool. Like, I posted a dumbass cat video of like Bodie chasing his tail, scratching. He had like 15 thoughts going through his head in 30 seconds. And he got 2,000 views and like over 100 likes. I'm like, that's crazy. Yeah. And granted, on TikTok, I mean, that's nothing. Like, there's videos that will get a billion views.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's top of the line, but like still 2,000 compared to a billion is nothing. Yeah. But like, if I got 2,000 on YouTube, I'd be like, holy shit, dude. It's just different because so many people watch TikTok now as compared to what YouTube was probably like in 2008, 2006.
Yeah, it's definitely changed. I have none of them, so I don't watch any of that. But yeah, I do. I get that where.
Yeah, seeing the entertainment just changed, just like you said. It's like you'll have one good show, and it's like, well, now we got to try something new, and you see stuff change. Like, oh, well, that didn't work. Yeah, right.
I don't know if you saw this. There was it's a kids movie, Robots, like many years ago. But one of the lines in it, this little guy is like an inventor, and his line was, if you see a need, fill a need. So that's how some of these things have morphed into, different venues and all that social media and everything that,
it's crazy just to watch how different stuff takes off. Like, I've been podcasting with people like, oh, my ticket to fame was Facebook. My ticket to fame was Instagram. My ticket to fame was Twitter. It's just very interesting to go, well, why didn't this work for this person when it worked for that person? It's crazy.
Just the way the wind was blowing that day. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And a lot of these guys are like, it's all luck. Yeah. For entertainment, it's all luck. what's the algorithm going to do?
Yeah.
So people like study these algorithms. Like, how can we cheat the algorithm? It's like, it's crazy. It's like, they're trying to mastermind it. It's like they're trying to scheme it up. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen like Money Heist on Netflix, but it's like the professors scheming up the perfect heist. It's like, how am I going to get the content out there? It's crazy.
Yeah.
But what's cool is like sometimes these like big name YouTubers be like, well, what if I had to start all over? So they'll make this just random, totally unrelated channel. But with what they know about YouTube up to this point, they're still the ones that know the algorithm, know how to get the stuff out there, and they can get another 100,000 subscribers on just some Joe Schmo channel in a month because they know how it works.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
and
like, once you know the formula, rinse and repeat.
So you're going to be famous is what you're telling me.
This podcast is a waste of everyone's time, including mine.
No,
I love it. I love having something to work on. This limits my video game time, 100%. And every time I play games now, it's like, what am I doing? This isn't going to matter in 10 years at all. And it's like, I think the smartest thing one of my high school teachers said, this guy, freaking genius. He put me onto a Roth IRA right when I was 18. He's like, you need to do this.
Awesome.
Yeah. I was like 16, 17 at the time. He's like, he showed me his and his wife's account for their Roth. And he's like, I have this Excel sheet of what the projected market's going to do. There's ups, there's downs. But if you max it out every year from the time you're 18 to 65, you will be a millionaire.
Wow.
If you follow the correct, like just safely S&P 500. Super safe. Over the history, it's gone 2 times or double 100% in like 7 years.
Yeah.
That's the 60-year average.
Crazy. I wish they would teach things like that.
Yeah.
In school, right? I'm like,
yeah.
There's so many people that don't know
how to invest and manage their money.
Yes.
Because you get people that get a surplus of money and it's like, oh, I'm going to go blow it on X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Like, I've bought a couple dumb things. I'm like, wow. But it's like, when I buy dumb things, I'm not breaking the bank on it, though. Like,
right.
And I'm very fortunate with my job. Just got really lucky. But at the end of the day, it was who I knew. I became good friends with the guy who was the president for Iowa State IEEE Club, which is the International Electronic something or other. But it's basically, imagine this computer club. IEEE is an international thing. And there was a branch at Iowa State. And Iowa State is one of the greatest Midwest engineering colleges. Mm-hmm. And he was the president for this club. So, he knows X, Y, and Z. And he got in at this job. And then he let me use him as a reference. And bada bang, bada boom.
Yeah.
Like, usually they do like a little phone call interview past that. I just went straight to the source.
Yeah.
We'll have an in-person interview. So that's why I'm under the impression it's about who you know.
Yeah.
For a lot of these jobs.
Yes, it definitely helps. Even, getting into colleges, you have to have your reference letters and things. Yep. And,
especially for the higher end ones, like not your state colleges, state public colleges.
Right.
Because those they'll accept anyone above
it's the higher ones, or even you've graduated and you need a job. So it does help to know a few people.
Yeah, especially for just like getting in. Like once you have your experience,
you still got to work your way.
Yeah,
up
you
the
still
ladder,
have to work your way up.
Yeah.
Like just to get your foot in the door. I will say it's about who you know, but to get up there, you have to put in the time, the effort, the blood, the sweat, the tears.
Absolutely.
You have to go home and cry sometimes after work, and just feel like, God damn it, man.
Exactly. Yes, I was going to say have a couple drinks. I'm not.
Encouraging alcohol.
I'm not encouraging alcohol at all. No.
But sometimes they can get you through a tough day.
It can.
All I know is that my mom doesn't drink a lot, but holy shit, when she was working basically like 2 manager positions across 2 hospitals, mm-hmm. and
very stressful.
Very stressful, and they really did her bogus on it. And to this day, I'm like, I would not put up with that shit at all. But you know how my mom is.
Yep.
So I love my mom to death. This is not any hate on my mom at all. But it's like, I almost wish I could have the backbone for her.
Yeah. Well, to what avail? Is it going to help her out?
Right.
Again, we need our jobs, right? We have houses to pay for and cars to pay for and all that. So you do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that is not saying anything and just dealing with it.
Just dealing with it.
Yeah.
But it's like when you, at the same time, I feel like what really sucks in this job market, it sucks. Like I have a really good friend, the guy that helped me get my job. He's like, oh, well, this other company's going to pay me 40% more. See ya. And
the loyalty is not there.
Loyalty is not granted
that is
much reward.
In healthcare, that is so true. We have
loyalty is given rewards.
There isn't.
Given.
There
no
isn't.
Rewards.
No, it's who's going to pay you more, because the job doesn't change, say hospital to hospital, but maybe the benefits do.
Yeah.
So, the turnover rate has been really high, especially since COVID, and now you're short-staffed and hiring travel nurses buku bucks to travel, and that's kind of the same thing. Well, somebody's
you think
like,
that's
well,
the reason why
I'm doing the same work as you, but you're getting paid like 3 times more than me, so I'm going to start doing that. Why would I not want to do that? So the loyalty just isn't. It's just not there.
Yeah.
Everyone for yourself, right? You got.
Yeah. And that's what sucks. It's like sometimes you really end up liking your coach. Like, man, I don't want to go have to remake all my friends and everything. It's like that sucks.
It's your it's your home away from home.
Yeah.
Second family kind of thing. Yeah.
That's how
you have to bear that into your consideration too. Some people, it doesn't matter, and other people place that as a higher priority. And it's interesting how things have changed now.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on travelers for the medical field? What do you think should be done to help get healthcare? Because I'm under the impression that healthcare is just always in the red now.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like they're not making
I have
shit
seen from beginning nursing and hearing like the mentor nurses talk about, back in the day, before me, healthcare is definitely a roller coaster ride. There are good days or, years, I should say, when you're in the surplus, and then there's others. Travel nursing, honestly, I don't think you should do it unless you really have your stuff together.
Your
to put
P's
it
and
nice.
Q's and lines.
To put it nicely, if you're not a great nurse, you really shouldn't be traveling. Unfortunately, I've seen people lie on their applications. Like, I've done this and this and this. And then you put them in that situation. They have no clue on what they're doing, which is dangerous, right?
Yeah. Especially in the medical field.
You're talking people's lives or, so I'm on the fence, because if you need them, right?
Yeah.
You gotta hire them. But
I just feel like you should reward the locals a lot better than travelers. I feel like travelers should be temporary until they find a home.
Right. And that's where it used to be very a temporary kind of thing. Just like you described it. And now it's not anymore. Like you could travel forever and even repeat contracts at the same hospital and not become a hospital staff employee and still have a job because the need is there right now.
Yeah. So how do travelers, is it a parent company that they work for and they say, you're going here, you're going there?
Yes.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I'll make a comment after the podcast.
Okay. What else was I going to say about that? Oh, the other thing too, which has a huge effect on hospitals and being in the red, and that are insurance companies and reimbursements. And reimbursements have been going down for many years, so that affects the hospital too. And it can be just simple stuff like getting the right kind of gloves and syringes, and you have to go with a cheaper source, to save some money. And I mean, those are just little tiny things, but it does in the OR, it affects what kind of equipment we have, what kind of
just the
medicine,
general quality of
supplies. Yeah, it does. It also affects talking about pay. If places aren't getting enough reimbursement, they can't pay their staff
what they ideally should be
getting. Right. Yeah.
So how
do you fix that?
Yeah. How do you fix that? That's a great
question. Yeah, I don't know, because it's different state to state. Here's an interesting fact. So when I was a nurse here in Iowa, I was one of the lowest paid. The amount that I could get paid if I wanted to move up to Minnesota and work at, say, Mayo, was about the same amount as what a beginning nurse practitioner gets here in Iowa. So there's a huge difference.
Pay gap by state.
Yeah. So
but that's also Mayo, though. That's like
that was
world renowned.
Right, exactly. But
that's like talking about working at Microsoft or Google for tech.
Yes, yeah. But the difference state to state is amazing. How
even like Illinois, Nebraska,
East West Coast, versus Midwest, that kind of thing is big. But am I going to move my family? Absolutely not.
No, because then you're moving away from the rest of the family.
Right. What's the point of that?
If you don't like your family, it's like that's the bon voyage till next time.
Okay, so yes, there might be some benefits for some people,
or some people who have family that encourage that disconnect. So then the holidays become that much more special.
There you go.
That's a better way to look at it rather than I hate my parents.
I hate my parents. I'm moving out.
Yeah, but no, that's kind of why I stayed local. Like, just be like, hey, Mom, you good? Thumbs up, good, cool, awesome. Right. Thumbs down, what do you need? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I can be there in an hour.
Yeah. That's the beauty of it, because my buddy, his family's across the world. Like,
are they?
Yeah. So when he got that 40% offer increase, he's like, "What's Iowa to Arizona?" Yeah. He's like, exactly. There's no point. There's nothing keeping me here.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And what even funnier? So this guy has a master's, and his company will pay for more schooling. Shall he choose? He's getting another master's. Not even in a related field. But he spun it the way where, this could eventually help the company. So he's getting a master's in legal studies.
Oh.
And patent and tax law. I'm just like, damn. Good on you, dog.
Yeah.
I'll come to you if I need tax advice.
Right. Yeah. Slip me his number later.
Yeah, no kidding. But his reason for it was, he's like, so we have a mutual friend who is going to Arizona State University. He's like, I really want to fuck with that guy. And I can do it for free because my company will pay for it. But I think at the end of the day, he does have a big interest. And he jokes around
a lot.
I can barely get a serious conversation on that guy. But he just knows so much.
Yeah.
But you say, I need a serious conversation. He's like, all right, what's up? But other than that, he does not take life seriously. But I mean, he is one of the most genuinely hardworking people. So in the engineering field, we have a project to work on, right? Mm-hmm. There's different contracts and stuff. We're working on it, X, Y, Z. So then you have this group of engineers that are working towards the whole project, but you have to break it down. So we're going to have team A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Every team has a scrum master, which was like, okay, we're going to have these little daily stand-ups and be like, what are you working on? What are you stuck on? What are the obstacles? What do you need? So he took on that job. Then the teams also need a product owner. So each team specializes in a certain domain of this project, just a little piece of it.
Little piece of the bigger picture. Yeah.
So he took on the meeting master and the product owner for his team. So this guy has 1.5 years experience, a master's, and usually it takes to get to his
how many years, right?
Level of what his qualification as an engineer. He's a senior engineer, so it goes engineer 1 to then senior. And I know I've heard from other sources that it takes about 7 years to get to senior. So 1.5 plus masters, otherwise 7 years with a bachelor's. So this guy is speed running the levels of engineering.
Right.
And I'm like, good on you, dog.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. So it's just like he is just pushing and pushing and pushing. But then he'll say, "Oh, I'm just playing Minesweeper on my computer." But he doesn't. Like I've seen him at these meetings. Like he very well has his crap together.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's good. So it's like he really does joke around. But
Yeah.
I mean, some weeks he'll work like 60 hours just to make it work.
Yeah, it's good. It sounds like he like life work balance. Like there needs to be a balance there. So.
He is a very good well, I look up to him because I'm like, this guy knows how to have fun, but also be loved by management. Like
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows how to get in with higher up and everything. Like when he left the company, all this higher up people that were like the top of the line engineers, like, oh, we should connect on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh, you're there for 1.5 years. What do they care? They've been there for 20 to 30 years.
Yeah.
So it's just like I guess another good tip for like job stuff is be likable, have a good work personality, keep your mouth shut when it needs to be. And you don't always need to be a yes man. Right. But to
present it
not
in a
pick
way
fights over stuff that doesn't need to be fought over.
Yeah. Some of that is, live and learn, right? Yeah. You definitely, there's a maturity there also when, you can present things in a new light and not, piss everybody off.
Not step on toes.
Yeah.
Some people call it constructive criticism. I call it just getting a fresh set of eyes on stuff. Yeah. Because like sometimes, and that's the thing. That's what I feel this whole diversity and inclusion stuff is like. Just instead of one person directing the ship, get the whole crew together and say, this part, this part. This is your subject matter expert. You know this the best. Let me know what we need to do with this.
Yeah, and that's the sign of a good leader. Yeah. That can acknowledge maybe their own deficits, right? And be able to see how everybody fits together in the group. I think it's pretty rare when that actually happens. Yeah. There's lots of different personalities out there that don't always get together and mesh, but yeah, that's a great leader who can do that.
Well, I think it's very interesting because like, so I'm sure just like in the medical field, it's like you have manager A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then, of course, there is management above that pick those people to be in their spot. Right. So it's like you almost have to rely on top dogs to get the trickle-down effect to make sure everyone has
what they
somewhat
need.
likable personality.
And I have seen enough changes of the guard to also acknowledge, like, wow, they're a great leader. They're doing great things. And vice versa, maybe somebody's got a position who's not as great in it, Yeah. But that's life.
That's life. Stuff changes
all the time. Changes. Man, you can't get away from them.
So I guess what more brain dump can you do for the medical field?
Say that again.
What more knowledge can you spill on the medical field? Like goods, bads. If people are listening to this, thinking about college, be like, what do I want to do? What do I want to do?
Actually, I think when I went into nursing, that was the best decision I made. One reason, because yes, you think of nursing as like the person who's taking care of your uncle on the floor in the hospital, but there's so many other avenues. You get your foot in the door, and then if you want to do some of those more administrative type things, or open your own place, or that kind of thing, there's so many different areas you can branch into. I just think it's a great field to work in
if you want to help people a lot.
Correct. If you don't want to help people,
don't do it.
Don't do it.
Like, is generally the pay like pretty high up for most medical field stuff that requires a specialized degree?
Yeah. When you get into the master's level, the pay definitely jumps quite a bit. I think also even like administrative type thing, like if you're really into the business side of things and you want to, be a vice president of something, your pay is going to go up, but there's also that education that backs it up also. So, not that everybody wants to go that path either,
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're talking money, in the medical field, the more education you have, is probably the better.
So you're looking at for more than less, say, for a more comfortable style of living, at least 6 years college for medical field.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess
as a single person, yes. Then you start throwing in, dual income families. That makes a whole different
that's a whole different ballpark.
Yeah.
I like to think of stuff as, I hate thinking like dual income stuff because I think that doesn't count. Because let's say you're someone who you married someone who makes
it affects your taxes for sure.
Yeah. But let's say you married someone who's making over 6 figures. You're making $15, $20 an hour. And you're like, oh, well, I'm still going to school, but I have no problem with college loans. It's like, I wonder why. That's crazy. It's like you have to. So that's why I like to think of these things like, if I am solely on my own.
Yeah.
How much does the cost to get from here to here really look like?
Right.
Right. So
depending on yourself to get you through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not having any external scholarships, grants, loan. Well, you got to pay loans back, but scholarships, grants.
They frown upon it when you don't.
Yeah. Pay your loans back. But what's really interesting is, so the whole COVID thing kind of threw the whole financial stuff kind of like, oh, there's no interest right now.
Yeah.
So why pay it?
I didn't quite agree with all of that.
Really?
I just, that's just me wanting everybody to be fair, right? That's not fair.
Yeah.
I had to pay all mine back, as far as loan forgiveness and things like that.
But
if you're going to do
loan
it,
forgiveness, I thought it was just freezing the
interest. Yeah. I think was what
so it didn't
ended
just
up.
accumulate while people, because a lot of people did lose jobs
too.
for COVID.
Yeah. Yes.
Which sucks.
And I get all of that.
Right. Because it's like you had job security to the max.
Yeah.
For COVID.
I was working a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be lovely if we had a system where you didn't have to pay for college, right?
Yeah.
But then you start looking at other societies, countries that do that, and the quality going to be the same?
Right, and that's why people come here.
Yeah.
For college, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
And even some of the foreign college students that I always say, I had them on the podcast. The guy that helped me get my job, I'm like, so why did you come to the United States? He's like, well, one, he had family from the United States. So he's like, oh, well, I'm just going to go. And that's it's renowned that United States has probably one of the best secondary education systems post high school.
I just wish it wasn't so expensive.
Yeah, it's crazy, but
holy cow, man.
Yeah, but
insane.
I think what's really interesting to look at is people should probably do the research for what is the best program for the best cost per dollar.
100%. Look, don't just jump into something thinking,
if I graduate from Harvard,
I'll have this job and I'll be able to do this. You really got to look into it and want it, because it's not going to be easy while you're in it either. Yeah.
I've threatened myself a lot. I'm like, fuck this. I'm dropping out. This is ridiculous.
I'm not doing this anymore.
It sucks. But I mean, you get so far in, you just laugh and cry. You're like, what do I do?
You just finish it. Now. That's right.
You're just like, this sucks.
There was a point in my psych, do you get a job with the bachelor's in psych? No, you have to get additional your master's level or even higher PhD type stuff. And there was a point where I'm like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of, the classes and just going. Yeah. Right. The Energizer Bunny. And it got to a point where I'm just same sort of thing. I'm like, fuck it. I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't have a lot of friends out there.
Yeah.
It was a bit depressing at times. And then I got to the point where I'm like, just finish it. You'll have your degree,
you'll have your degree.
Just then take a break. Just finish it and take a break, So, and then look at me now.
Yeah, I'd say you have a really nice place. It played out. It panned out, really.
It did work out for me. I am very appreciative of
that you just
where I'm at now.
Yeah.
How I grew up, comparing all of that. I've been on lovely vacations,
Yeah.
We didn't go on vacations growing up. If it was a vacation, you went to, an aunt's house in another state.
Yeah.
And visited family.
For a weekend, though. The elongated weekend.
Yeah. And you drove. You didn't fly. Yeah, exactly. So, I am very fortunate. I feel fortunate to be where I am.
Yeah. It's very interesting, like, seeing on both side of my parents' families.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my parents' generation plus, I feel my current cousin generation is from rags to riches. Like, a lot of my cousins are like, very going out there and getting, like, my cousin, he's not going to college, but holy shit, him and his buddy, they're 18, about to be 19. And they're doing side job, landscaping jobs. And they did a weekend for $1,000 cash.
Yeah.
Like, profit.
And
I'm like,
that
wow.
shows you too, one, motivation, right? You gotta want it. You gotta work it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always require education. You just gotta.
Sometimes it just takes, can I abuse my body to this extent?
Do it while you're young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I even have a buddy who, even in high school, he's like, I'm not going to college. My mom doesn't like that, but I'm not going to college. But when he was 16, he's like, I just like being outside and just working with my hands.
Yeah.
And now he does.
You got to do something you like.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. Otherwise, I think it kind of drags into other aspects of your life and things kind of start sliding downhill.
Yeah.
There are people who can do a job they don't like and just because it pays the bills, and that's fine if you're that kind of person. I just was never that kind of person.
Yeah.
Got to do something you like. If you like it, it's, they always say, if you like what you're doing, it's not a job, but that is kind of true.
Well, I ain't doing it for free, though.
Well, right. Volunteering's a whole other subject.
Yeah, it's like,
that's a whole other
would
subject.
not volunteer any of my knowledge to do anything.
Yeah.
I'll help family with questions, and that is it. That is as far as I go.
So when Grandma calls you.
I don't understand why. I love Grandma. I really do. I'll help her with anything she asks.
But you got to think, well,
she
that's
didn't
a
grow
great
up with it.
example of the differences between the generations.
Yes. Yes.
I think of, you see on TV the people who like have turned 100, and they're doing their little birthday party. I'm like, can you imagine
what they think, like, just what
it is now? Yeah. Like a phone that's a cell phone versus and they were probably living without phones, right? It's just the span of everything is amazing. So yeah,
I'd be
grandma's lovely.
Yeah, love her to death.
We love all grandmas.
All grandmas are loved. But for Christmas I got a little bit of cash to mess around with, and I'm like, I could use this to get a MetaQuest 3. And those things are so hardcore awesome. Like, so it's like, remember Guitar Hero, right? Like, how it's like, feeds the notes, you're like, hit this button. I
remember those, yeah.
But so it takes that, and so they have this pass-through mode where you can pretty much use these 3 cameras to get a full field of view, just like you're looking normally. But you're wearing the MetaQuest 3 thing.
Yes.
And what it does, they have this augmented reality mode where it's like, you see the room you're in. You see everything. It's like you're not even wearing the thing other than you feeling it. Mm-hmm. And if you sit down at a piano, they have this app where it'll teach you, like, here's how you play these songs. And it'll be just like Guitar Hero. It'll feed the note to you, and you just get the timing right, and boom, you're playing whatever you want.
Wow.
That's
kind of, technology changes are awesome.
Yes.
Those are awesome.
Because it makes, you don't need a piano teacher to learn, I can hit this button or key at this time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that is one of the, that's really why. And then
I'm sure my piano teacher doesn't feel the same.
He's probably like, they're taking my job.
That was my job.
But it's like, even with, I didn't have a guitar. Well, I had a guitar teacher for very briefly. It was like 3-4 months. But I taught myself pretty much everything I know. Granted, when I start playing in front of people, I sound like shit. But it's like, when it's me in my headphones, I sound fucking awesome.
It's like me in the car.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Right.
Yeah. But it's like, I'm just not used to playing for people.
Did you learn how to read music, or do you always play by ear?
I play by...
You learned chords and...
So, yeah. So it's like sheet music, but there's like this little bar that goes across, like a scanner. Like, so imagine if all the notes are laid out for you in Guitar Hero.
So that's how you've learned all of your songs.
Pretty much.
That way.
That, or this game called Rocksmith I used for like 5 years, but it was like Guitar Hero for real guitar.
Yeah.
And you could start out like with your easy mode where you're playing maybe every fifth note. But at least I'd be like, oh, fret, right. this note, this chord,
you learn
that chord.
The feel of the instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as you master these parts, it'll be like, here's another note for you. Here's another note for you. And once you get all the notes, it'll be like, what if we take certain parts away where you can't see? Now you have to play by memory.
Right. So you're memorizing it too. I know you like heavy metal.
Oh, yeah. I was debating on wearing a deathcore hoodie or whatever. Here, I'm like, well.
It's Carrie's house. I'll wear a shirt. You could have worn it. It's okay.
Yeah. Well,
Mikasa Yukasa.
For the sake of the podcast to look somewhat
different.
Yeah.
Or different. Yeah. I'm not even going to say better. Yeah. It's not necessarily better. Yeah.
For better or worse, whatever.
There you go.
What's funny, though, you'll get a kick out of this. I can wear any of that stuff
at
to
work.
Yeah,
you suck.
It's awesome.
You suck.
Like, I can go in with jeans. In the winter, I only go in with jeans. Otherwise, I'll wear like cargo shorts in the summer and then just like t-shirt, whatever.
Isn't that great?
It's super lax. Like, I wear deathcore hoodie stuff to work. No one bats an eye. No one says anything.
Yeah.
But then I also wonder, I'm like, is this going to be no extra bonus points? Like, let's say I'd work really hard on something, but because I'm wearing stuff that people just don't relate to.
Does it affect anything?
Does it affect
or you don't know yet?
Right. I'll figure it out.
You're not there.
I'll find
you're
soon.
not to that point yet.
Yeah. Soon.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But that's so my buddy.
Well, I would say if it does, they should
make it apparent.
Yes, there should be some kind of dress code or rules, or
they say no nudity, gore, swearing. Other than that, go for it.
It's funny they actually had to say no nudity.
Yeah,
who came to work without their clothes on? That's what I want to know.
Well, I think just like a graphic on.
Oh, gotcha. No pictures of nudity or things
stuff.
On. Gotcha. Not that you're coming without clothes. All right.
That'd be insane. Feel like I hope everyone's coming with clothes.
Be a little cold here in Iowa.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's getting better now. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. But 40 feels like 100. Yeah.
Then you actually get to summer, you're like, this sucks.
I know. I used to like really hot weather, and I don't like really hot weather anymore.
I never liked hot weather.
Yeah.
Ever. Doing grandma's bridal wreath bushes in the summer is like, this fucking sucks. I'll be there at 7 a.m. We're starting at 7:05.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
She's like, we can't bother neighbors. I'm like, the neighbors can piss off for one day. Like, come on, dude, it's so hot.
Yeah, we got to start before it's 90 degrees out.
Yeah. But that's why I'm like, hey, can we do it in May? Can we do it early June?
Different times of the year. This year was not horrible.
No, it wasn't.
It was good.
Thank goodness. It can stay like that. I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah. What else can we talk about?
Oh, boy.
Are we reaching? How far are we in here? Let's see. We're an hour in.
Ooh.
We want to wrap it up?
We can.
We can. So I guess with your experience with life, if you learned one thing that you wish you learned sooner, that would help you, what would that key piece be?
Believe in yourself.
What derives from that?
I think growing up, I didn't have very high
self-esteem.
Yeah. And that definitely kind of played a role in what I did or didn't do, more so what I didn't do. Thinking of like being at college and joining groups and meeting people. And I was a little more shy and didn't want to do that. Yeah. And that changed my whole experience of college. But then the more, those jobs, the more I did more weird things because I had to and didn't have a choice, right? It definitely shaped me to be a different person now. And also, if somebody is bringing you down, saying bad things about you, to you, whatever, that is really more on them and what they're going through than anything that has to do with you. So, I've learned just to be like, blow it off, like, whatever. That's your, exactly. Yeah. So, believe in yourself. You can
ignore the haters.
Ignore the haters. Believe in yourself. You can do whatever you want to do, and you can change your mind.
Hey, that's the beauty of it. You're not locked into anything.
You're not locked into anything.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think we'll end it there. Thank you.
Awesome.